So now that we've talked about the top kind of line things that people look at when they search for you and when they find you, let's talk a little bit more specifically about recruiters. Recruiters don't see what you see. When recruiters look for you, they're not using the same version of LinkedIn at all. They have a separate login to LinkedIn Recruiter, and they log in to search candidates in batches there. And so I think it's really important, before we talk about what to do with your LinkedIn profile today, that I show you what exactly is showing up on the other side, so you can optimize your profile accordingly and have the best chance of getting noticed. So here is an example of a dashboard that recruiters see. So typically a recruiter would log in and they could create something called projects in Sales Navigator or in LinkedIn Recruiter. And they typically are recruiting for a couple of other jobs. And in this case, they're looking for an electrical engineer. And you could see how many professionals are available and what area, how many have changed jobs. And one of the things that people don't realize that is crazy important is recruiters will sometimes prioritize reaching out to people who are open to new opportunities if they're using LinkedIn for sourcing. And so marking that on your profile is very, very important. So in this case, this recruiter has 2,000 people who are open to new opportunities, and they will most likely go for that stack of candidates first before they look at folks who have company connections or maybe folks that are open to contract work. This is what the search looks like for a recruiter in the back end of LinkedIn. If you look to the left, what they have to do first is they have to put in a few filters before they could see a list of candidates. So they might be looking for a specific job title, location, skills, companies, schools that you attended, keywords, and etc. Companies are very, very selective around job titles and very selective around schools. So those are two areas where you cannot afford to have, a more descriptive title. If you're a software engineer, please put in that you're a software engineer. Don't put pink sparkly unicorn thinking that it's funny and then describe in a couple of bullet points what you do, because you simply won't be picked up in a search like this from recruiters. Recruiters have sometimes hundreds of roles that they have to fill in a quarter. And so they very much rely on their sourcers to go through LinkedIn and find folks. And in order to get noticed, you just need to understand what they look for. Locations and schools, also very important. If you do not have a location, chances are you won't get picked up. So if you are somebody who works remote, this could be potentially an issue for you. So you might want to put an anchor location, so a location where a lot of businesses are hiring for people who are remote, so that you do show up in some of these more location-specific searches. And schools are very important because, especially in tech, there are companies that have very high preference for certain schools. So if you do have a degree from one of those schools, putting it in is critical. And a lot of recruiters recruit specifically out of the same alumni pool. So that's really, really important. Skills is very critical if you're a technical professional. If you operate in a specific stack or programming language, having that in here could make the difference between getting the job or not getting the job, because if the recruiter puts a skill in and filters on that, and you simply don't have that in your profile, you won't show up in their search at all, even if you meet all of the other criteria. So once the recruiter has kind of done a search, maybe they've clicked on one of these candidates to explore them further. This is kind of high level what you look like to a recruiter. So notice that a lot of the things that you put in your LinkedIn profile here are completely missing. So you have your photo, your kind of tagline that we talked about today. That's really critical and important. Your current position, your previous couple of positions, your education, and your email, and you have any website portfolio. Literally, that's it. There's an expanded version of your LinkedIn profile if they scroll down, but I've worked very closely with recruiters, and I could honestly tell you nobody scrolls down. So making sure that all of the information that shows up here is correct is very, very critical to you being able to get on a recruiter's radar. And once that you have been saved to a project, so for instance, let's say a recruiter is recruiting for account managers, so they've saved 10 account managers they want to reach out to. This is what kind of the workflow looks like on the recruiter side as well. So they can see if you are open for new opportunities, if you follow the company page, and if you have any connections with people that are on the company. So needless to say, these are all positive signs. They're not going to make or break your job application. However, there are kind of small pluses that are very easy for you to compound with pretty much zero effort. So always mark yourself open to new opportunities when you're open. Always make sure you follow the company page if you're applying for the company. And to the extent that you can do some networking and reach out to people, it does help to have some mutual connections.
Candor helps tech professionals get paid more.